last year, we went down the road, we looked at a bond. It did not pass. We had 51.4% of the vote. We needed 60% of the vote. But this all started clear back in July of 2022 when I got here. We did a facilities assessment. The previous assessment or previous plan started in 1997 with the building of the school. Kind of COVID hit, never really kind of renewed and got off the plan. So that's what we kind of started doing, is developing a whole 20-year plan again. We did through staff walkthroughs analysis. We got Shine Hattery on board. We did that facilities assessment, presentation of findings, presentation to community members, and then we came back. The community committee came back to the board and said we're going to recommend going out for a bond. Be the first one since the 1997 bond, and so at the time it was like let's try to get everything done. Let's try to get the elementary school built. Let's try to do the middle school addition. And let's get our infrastructure back up where we needed to be. So at the time, it was a $90 million bond referendum placed on the ballot with 450 citizen signatures in May. The bond amount required a second question to be asked, raising the maximum levy from $2.70 to $4.05. Both required a 60% approval. That would have had the levy raised in order for us to get to 90 million, would have been about $3.60, $3.70, somewhere in there. And so we went out to the committee, or out to the community. I presented, I think, 12 different times. I talked to anybody who would listen. Surprisingly, we didn't have a whole lot of people show up to those, but at the end of the day, we did get over 50% of the vote. Unfortunately, we failed. And so one of the things that I did is I came back to the board and said, regardless of how this goes, we need another facility committee. So the board at that time approved kind of formally a facility committee, and that's why Bub was here. He was a part of that facility committee. We kind of talked, if this passes, what's our priority? How do we get going? If it doesn't pass, where do we go from here? At the end of the day, 3,337 people were shooted out, voted in the election. 3,294 actually voted on the measure. So go to the next one. So in December is when the board voted to officially create that ad hoc committee. So it consists of board members, school personnel, and community members. On December 18th, they voted to engage and work with project advocates. That's Brett Wallace is here for current and future facility planning. And December through February, project advocates worked with Shine Hattery, us and the facility committee on current and future facility needs. On January 29th, one of the things to note is the board voted to approve the purchase of 31 acres of land and to extend the purchase option of the remaining 60 acres of land pending passage of a school bond. The longest timeline that they would approve for that land was December of 2024. That's the longest they approved. At that point, it's gone if we don't pass anything. So with that information, we went back to the facility committee. Facility committee met and reviewed project advocates' work and recommendations. So one of the things that project advocates did is they took all the recommendations that Shine Hattery gave us, about $40 million worth of infrastructure work that they had recommended in the first bond go around. And they went through everything with a fine-tooth comb and put different numbers to it and basically came up with a kind of a new proposal. If you're going to list out different phases of this is priority 1, priority 2, priority 3, they really weeded down that $40 million recommendation down to about $25.5 million. So kind of weeded that down, got it down to more manageable numbers, but I mean still huge numbers. And so what the committee made a recommendation was focus on the high school and Titan Hill HVAC at the time, because we did say, let's use some of the money that we're going to use to purchase the land, and let's get some of the infrastructure done now that we have to get done. Priority 1 was the high school, HVAC, the chiller, the roofs, etc. The committee also recommended moving forward with plans to run a bond in November 2024 focused on infrastructure and elementary school to expand classroom space. But due to costs and lack of available bond funding opportunities in 2024, it was known at that point that the footprint was going to have to be shrunk. And so the preschool was going to remain at Kraft with the therapeutic center, and the middle school addition would have been put off for a future date. So that was all discussed up to that point. Go to the next one. In March The board approved summer 2024 large infrastructure project plan. That was about a $3.5 million budget, money that would have otherwise been used to purchase and develop land. The high school focused on high school roast, high school chiller, high school, which would be the district front end system, high school gymnasium units. Take that off the chiller units and get that water to stop running across the ceiling of the gym, so it's dripping on the floor and ruining the floor. Titan Hill HVAC boiler and chiller support for geothermal wells, and then they also approved contracts for Shy Battery and Project Advocates for these particular items. We also sent out a survey to community members in April this month that focused on the last bond election and just feedback from there. So that's as of April, as of the end of April, that's where we sat.